Okay, cool. Thanks everybody again for joining the August edition of the Stockton REI online meetup. Appreciate everybody coming. This is a new day and a new format that we're trying out, and it looks like we got a good attendance today here. We have some items on the agenda. I'll share my screen so that we're all on the same page, but um, let's go there first. All right. So for today's agenda, we're going to do some introductions and breakout groups. So I'm going to be splitting all of you into smaller groups so that you can get to know one another. I think it's great if we get to know the different experience levels, what we need to grow in investing in real estate. We'll do that for a few minutes, and then after that, we'll get into qualifying a lead with Bruce Arellano, who's our key speaker for today's session. We'll have an open discussion for this session with Bruce, as well as any other open discussion items that we want to talk about. And then we'll save the last few minutes for announcements and go from there. So these are going to be the questions for our introductions and our breakout groups. I welcome all of you to come off of mute. We're going to do really intimate small groups so that you can get to know one another. I'll also put these same questions in the chat box so that you can see what the questions are. But for the introductions and breakout groups, just share your name, where you're from, where do you invest? If you are not investing, what are you thinking about doing to invest? What's a recent win that you've had, and what are you most proud of? And that doesn't have to be necessarily real estate related. We just love to share kind of wins that we have. And then what do you need to grow in your real estate investing, whether you're just getting started or you're a seasoned veteran? What are some of the things that you need to grow in your real estate investing? And then what are your special gifts, skills, talents that you can share with other people? So what resources and skills do you have that can help others grow in real estate investing? So with that in mind, we're going to do breakout rooms. We'll do 3 breakout rooms. So there's going to be 2 and 3 of you in your group. So I welcome all of you to come off of mute, and I also welcome all of you to turn on your camera if you like. And then we're going to go into the breakout rooms so that you can introduce yourself to one another. So those breakout rooms have been created. Feel free to click join to those rooms that you've been assigned to, and then yep, we should be good. Awesome. Hope everybody had a great breakout session. Thank you so much for participating in that. Hopefully you guys got to meet some cool people. And after we have this meeting, I'll be sending out a link to our Slack group if you're not already on it to keep the conversation going. So we're going to jump into our key part of our meetup today, which is qualifying a lead with Bruce Arellano. Before we get started, a little bit about Bruce. Saw this brief bio in the email, but Bruce is born and raised Stockton, California, joined the military and served 4 years, attended Delta College, and landed a job at PG&E. Got into real estate relatively recently, 2018, about 4 years ago, in search of financial freedom, and founded his own company in 2020 in real estate. The strategies are wholesaling, fix and flip, and he's planning to get into buy and hold investing, as well as investing in short-term rentals, such as Airbnb and VRBO. So we're going to switch it off and introduce Bruce, and Bruce is going to take us through qualifying a lead. So Bruce, feel free to take it away.
Hey guys, thank you, Willie. Thank you for the group. Super solid group. Really appreciate being involved and really just getting to meet. It's almost like every meeting there's always new people that join, whether it's virtual or in person. So is there a way that I could share my screen? I'm sure you guys.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you should be able to.
Cool. So yeah, I haven't been doing this a ton, you know what I mean? Like have about 2.5 years of wholesaling, like you know, actual wholesaling, and like really getting into the you know, taking calls and things like that. And I've definitely learned a lot. during my time. So like pretty much what I'm about to share is just everything that I've learned throughout the years, and pretty much what I've learned from the Wolf of Wall Street. I picked up this book, the Straight Line System. I don't know if you guys can see that. Uh, sorry, so it's Jordan Belfort, The Wolf of Wall Street. I'll do audiobooks, I'll do actual physical books, but I got a ton out of that book, and I pretty much just gathered my experience and his straight line system to really just hone down and stop wasting my time, with some of these sellers. Let's see. So I imagine like a lot of you guys are finding your own deals. I guess maybe in the chat, do you guys want to share like some of the objections that you guys are having to deal with? Um, that, and then I'll just go into, sorry, I have this electronic notepad, and it's not like super responsive, but anyways, so yeah, like going into like dealing with like sellers, I've come to learn that there's pretty much 5 things that I look at, when I'm talking to them. I'm sure, many of you probably have heard the core four, so to speak, when you're talking to these, when you're going direct to seller, and, you're talking to these homeowners. So, in wholesaling, there's the core four of the condition, timeline, motivation, and price. There's those 4, but I also like to add, try to find out if the property's vacant. And what I've done, from all the deals that I've looked at, or all the deals that I've done in my experience, I've looked at them all. I kind of, broke it down to like, okay, how what out of those 5 did this seller like qualify in, and what box did they check off on? And when I looked at it, from an overhead view, I was able to see that when they had like when they had like at least 3 out of that 5, that was like a pretty solid lead. So I'm also gonna share these notes that I have. Sound. So yeah, this is pretty much the notes that I've gotten from the book, and pretty much what from my experience. So pretty much like the buyers in heat, these are typically roughly about 10, I would even say probably 10 to 20, 10 to 15% of the prospects that are coming in through the funnel, and me like getting on the phone with them. So these are the buyers in heat. These guys are like, checking out like 4 out of the 5 boxes. They're reasonable. They understand that, being able to sell their home to me, that me as an investor, I can't purchase a house at full retail, and they totally get it. They understand that. So they'll check 4 out of that 5, and roughly about more like 15, like I said. So buyers in power, these people have like that motivation. They have the motivation. They're not typically like on a timeline. They're pretty much just calling to maybe get an offer. And these are the ones that obviously take a little bit of work, because like today they might not have a ton of motivation, but excuse me, they'll have motivation, but like they have time. But in 3 weeks from now, a month from now, their time is getting shorter and shorter, but that problem or whatever issue is still there. So obviously these are the ones that are still going to need a bunch of follow up and uh, yeah, just staying on top of it. Like, calling them when you say you're going to call them. The looky loos and mistakes is what I like to call these people. Like, these are pretty much just tire kickers. They just want to hear a number. I think one of no, it was a different call, but so these guys, they'll, not a ton of motivation, no timeline, blah blah blah. They just want to hear a number. What I do with that, um, I'll give them pretty much like an 80% of, Zestimate or ARV. I'll just give them a ballpark, but then still let them know that I still need to be able to like see the property, see how it sits today, and actually see the repairs that need to be made. That was a good question. I'll get to that question, Jose, here in a little bit. And then what is it? Yeah, that was yeah, with the looky loos. I try to figure them out within the first 10 minutes, because definitely don't want to waste my time with any of these people. You know what I mean? And buyers in heat, buyers in power. Definitely taking my time to hear what they have to say. Let me go to let me just go to the questions. For probate, obviously I like to try to catch sellers before they even go to probate, but if they're already in probate, I have a legal document assistant. She's pretty solid, man. She basically did my first deal on the east side. So pretty much they filed a bunch of paperwork on LegalZoom. Obviously it wasn't done correctly. By the time I got it, we agreed on, I think it was like 160 or 165. And this was when the market was kind of doing weird, high trajectory stuff. So by the time I got the seller to the legal document assistant, we pretty much gathered all the paperwork. I'll share her contact with you. But by the time we were able to actually file all the paperwork, the market had jumped up like another 80 grand. And pretty much I was able to close on that house at 160, and then turned around and wholesaled it, or actually not wholesaled, wholetailed it at 321. And that was like pretty much like one of my first deals, and just blew me away. I Yeah, that was crazy stuff. So definitely I'll share her contact with you guys. I think there was, let me pull up the other questions. Apologize. Um, there's that probate question. How am I adjusting my criteria for leads in the changing market? For this area, I'm going as low as 70%, but I try not to. But it's kind of tough because it's not like, ARV times 75%, or whatever your percentage is, minus repairs, minus wholesale fee. That could, I mean, like I kind of feel like there's not like a set formula regardless in what area you're in or what market. But for me personally, like I'm in the range of 70 to 75%. I kind of just stay like right there uh, for to get the deal done. I mean, uh, my buyers are happy, I'm happy, and you know the seller's happy with being able to get that house off their hands. Oh, cool, thank you. As far as like you know, the Stockton market with wholesale deals, I don't know, man. Like, I don't. I personally feel there's always deals out there. Regardless of what how you know what the market is doing, um, I feel like regardless with interest rates or whatever, people are still going through stuff. You know, there's homes being inherited that by people that have no idea with what they're doing or don't have any interest in having a rental and dealing with tenants. People are still going bankrupt. People still going through a lot of stuff, and I just like I think lately I kind of just been just really just focused on pulling my list, keeping my list simple, and just staying consistent with either direct mail or cold calling. I feel like it all works, but whatever marketing or marketing strategy that you guys choose, just stay consistent with it. You know, yeah, I've seen guys in this area and uh, across the country, and their strategy is all different, but it all, yeah, I mean, it all works at the end of the day. It definitely all works. And some tips for someone to dive right into their real estate career. I could start investing without much money from the get-go. I would probably say get with someone that is like seasoned and figure out how to add value. Figure out how to maybe help them find deals. Um, Maybe just asking them straight up, like, how can I add value to your process or to your company. um, I've done that before. Like, I've in the very beginning, uh, like the books, the podcasts, all the YouTube videos, that like it only takes you so far. And the other thing that I also always preach about is relationships in real estate are huge, because all it takes is just meeting that one person and like really connecting with them, and then being able to uh do a deal together. Sky's the limit. Like, you might find private money. um but yeah, just really finding someone that is doing something that you want to do, and figuring out how to add value to that person. um Questions in the chat. Yeah. Yeah, that was it. I mean, it's not a ton of stuff. Like, really just like knowing the five things that I look for, and getting to the straight answer as quickly as possible. Because I can't waste my time talking to someone for 30 minutes that isn't even reasonable with selling below retail. Can't waste my time talking to someone that they're, I don't know. um Sorry, guys. My my brain's a little foggy because I'm doing some some fasting. So give me a second.
Yeah.
Hey,
Cool.
hey, Bruce.
So,
It's
go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I want to see if you could just walk us through like your last deal. Like, how'd you
Oh
get the
yeah,
lead?
yeah.
What
Thank
did
you.
that conversation look like? Yeah, do you mind doing that?
Yep. Um, yeah. So the last lead was from, let's see, was from Valley Springs. It was property out in Valley Springs. They believe, yeah, he found me on an SEO search. So pretty much the SEO search is just, someone that is uh, searching online, like typing in Google, like sell my house fast, Stockton, or whatever, right? So he found my website and um, came through the call center. The call center had vetted him, or well, not vetted him, but they kind of go through the questions that I asked them to go through. You know, price, timeline, motivation, condition, and if it's vacant, and um, had them go through. They set up the appointment. I think the day that I got there, it was he was having like a garage sale, and I was kind of worried too because this is like a cool little tip. Like if you see a garage sale, like just driving around town, uh, don't don't be shy to like just stop by and just try to talk to the seller because that might be a free lead and someone that is motivated to sell. So uh, little thing for you guys to kind of keep in mind when you're driving around town, garage sales or especially like estate sales. Going back to that lead, the sellers, yeah, went to the appointment, walked it. I was kind of worried because there was like a bunch of people like looking at all the stuff that was for sale, and I was worried that someone else was gonna talk to him about purchasing the house. Thankfully that didn't happen. I think it took me. I think that was probably about another week from that appointment that I got it under contract for 260. Uh, my end buyer did a inspection of the septic, and the septic tank for whatever reason was going uphill, and then there's the leach line on the back side of the house. um the end buyer did the inspection. They found that the leach line was like compromised. I don't know any of this stuff, so I was freaking learning as I was going. And uh pretty much that to redo that, the septic was like another 25 grand. Had to go back to the seller, renegotiated. We got it down to 240. Um, Wholesaled it to my buyer at 260, and um, yeah, I kind of yeah, that was a cool one. I mean, probably total hours of work of talking to the seller, uh, end buyer, and the title company, probably 3 hours of like just being on the phone and talking to them. Um, no, so 75 to 70 to 75% of ARV, and then I'm subtracting the repairs and then my wholesale fee. So ARV times 0.75 minus $25,000 repair. It's just like, say it's just a cosmetic repair. And as far as like the wholesale fee, I like to be in the range of 10 to 12,000, and pretty much get my MAO, max allowable offer, from that. Has there been times where a deal has eaten up into my MAO? Yeah, that's happened, but I'll take a base hit, all day, then uh, hitting a a home run on a deal. It all depends, man. Really just depends on where the buy or where my buyer's at and where the seller is at with all that. And let's see.
Yeah, with that being said, we're happy to open up questions to all of you. So if any of you have questions, feel free to write it in the chat or come off of mute and ask your questions. But high level, pretty much, Bruce does wholesaling as if some of you aren't familiar with wholesaling, this is kind of the way that we do off-market deals, that we find a motivated seller, we find an investor buyer, and the wholesaler brokers the deal between the two and takes a little bit of a commission on top of it. And so a lot of what Bruce was sharing about qualifying leads helps him to identify which types of sellers are most motivated and most likely to actually want to sell their home at below market rate so that Bruce can make a commission and find a buyer who's willing to come in on it. Just overall at a general level, if you're not familiar with wholesaling, that's the overall concept here. I think, we see a lot, Bruce, in the space where, if you drive around your neighborhood, whatever neighborhood you're in, you'll see a lot of different things. So you'll see bandit signs where people say, "I'll buy your home for cash." We'll see people getting mailings at their home saying, "I'll buy your house for cash." And we also have probably gotten scam calls or scam likely calls on our phone of people who are calling our phones asking if we're willing to sell our home. So I think all of us have that experience of seeing that, Bruce, of those types of different vehicles. What are the main vehicles that you use, and which ones have you found have been most effective in actually landing people?
So like the way, so like with bandit signs, with direct mail, pretty much those two. Like I don't do bandit signs. I do direct mail, and the reason why is because I'm able to get the mail now for a lot cheaper than what I was paying, and I like the idea of them actually having a call and reach out, because from there I know that selling their house is on the table. Like that's all I need, and then from there I could dive deeper and figure out their core five, you know. With sorry, I'm just losing my train of thought. So like with the direct mail, it's also cool that they're able to get that letter or postcard or whatever, and they're driven back to my website, and seeing my online presence and seeing that, oh, he's got a bunch of BBB reviews, Facebook reviews, Google reviews. Okay, and like it's pretty clear that that this guy has experience, that he's I guess what would you call it, the uh, um, market expert, I guess, uh, and really just being able to have that online presence, um, sending the mail, and damn, sorry, dude, this whole fasting thing was like a bad idea to do it on this day.
It's all right. Yeah, one of the things that Bruce and I have talked about this quite a bit, and I think personally, I've also gotten into wholesaling myself. I think bandit signs have been super interesting just because that people who live in the neighborhood are going to see them. I do think that there is a moral question internally about, hey, these moral signs are going to be up in my neighborhood. Do I want to drive by these signs and see them in my neighborhood and potentially causing, I don't know, some may consider it littering, or some may consider it pretty much a blight to the neighborhood. So you kind of have to ask the internal question if you want to do that. But at the same time, there are people out there who are needing somebody to buy their house because of their emergency situation. So you may be actually solving a problem by having those signs up. And then, Bruce mentioned SEO as well. Personally, I work for my 9-to-5 W-2 job, I work as a digital marketer. I do social media campaigns as well as paid campaigns for large brands. And so with SEO, it's always super interesting because you're always going to, if somebody is searching for how do I sell my house fast on Google, that they're very desperate. That they're very motivated to sell their home. So I think that helps you find people who are most likely to convert and most likely to sell their home to you. And then to the question that's in the chat, Renan asked, are you able to share what printing service you use for the mailers? And Bruce mentioned Open Letter Marketing, Yellow Letter HQ, and Ballpoint Marketing. I think another ingredient that Bruce hasn't mentioned here is that he has had experience working with virtual assistants. If many of you may or may not be familiar with virtual assistants, but they are people who are typically out of the country who can do calling for you outbound or call receipt for you inbound. And a lot of those people who work overseas are people who maybe you could pay a fraction of what you would pay somebody who's here locally. So, for example, I've worked with virtual assistants who've done work for me at about $6 US an hour. And personally, I think it's super, super cheap, super affordable, and a lot of virtual assistants do speak English fluently. So it really is up to you to find and vet virtual assistant and understand if that's part of the business that you're looking to add. Cool. Bruce, I know you went over the different criteria you use to qualify a lead. I'm kind of curious also, are there any other criteria you use when deciding who to spend more time with in terms of a warm lead versus people you kind of just let go and decide not to spend any time with them? There's just any additional criteria that you use to make that distinction?
Yeah. So going back to the going back to those notes, like really the first two, Buyers in Heat and Buyers in Power, those are all day. Like I put all the effort into them. Anything else after that, it's like just really just get down to the nitty gritty and figure out like, okay, these people aren't, they're not even like reasonable to even sell below retail. But I think even before that, the list is a very key component to getting those quality leads to come in. I've made the mistake of trying to pull every single lead or campaign or list imaginable, and it's way too much. And the more I spoke to like other investors, like I just need to keep things simple, and the simple things is the way to go. And so pretty much like the absentee list is great. When a homeowner has a property that is vacant, I do the criteria of even like seniors or someone that owns a property that like over 15 years or 20 years or whatever. Those have been super profitable. Tax delinquent, the lien list, seniors, obviously probate and pre-probate, and what do you call it? Inherited. I do inherited, and the other criteria that I also use on PropStream is I'll do just something like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a property that is in the like a minimum of 11 or 1200 square feet, something that was built before 1950 or after after 1950, and what else? Something that isn't like the property value isn't over like, I think I have it down at like 400 or 450,000. If I have all of that criteria down, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, like that is it's easier for my end buyer to flip it. Something that um, something that isn't too big or whatever. Like it's a you have a bigger pool of buyers, or my end buyer has a bigger pool of buyers after they're done flipping it, or say if they want to keep it as a rental. It's just easier to move when you have that criteria. For the inherited lists, that's one of the filters that you could choose on PropStream. Let's say it's a inner family transfer. I could show you guys real quick. Do you have a mailing list? Yeah. So let me just pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah,
while
it's
Bruce is
go ahead.
Yeah, while Bruce is doing that, I just dropped a link for PropStream. PropStream is a online service where you can pay to get access to pull different email and physical mail lists of different criteria of people. So Bruce mentioned a bunch of criteria. PropStream allows you to do those filters so that you can identify different people. And then to Jerry's question here, Jerry's question is, do you have a mailing list you send to buyers, investors when a deal surfaces?
Oh, just like a buyer's list? Yeah. So on my CRM that I use, I have my VA. She pretty much. So it's another cool thing with PropStream. You can filter out cash purchases in San Joaquin County, in 95206, wherever, and pretty much like my process is, when I get a deal under contract, I'll pretty much plug in that address, do the filter of cash buyers in that area, and what I'm looking for is individuals, not like some big old hedge fund or whatever. You're more likely to find another investor that is willing to buy your deal, that is, they just did a flip, or they have a rental, 2 streets down. You know what I mean? Like they're able to see, you're able to see that it was a cash purchase. Home, the owner has 10 or whatever, however many homes in that area. Going back
Bruce,
to, go ahead.
Just to summarize it, so it sounds like PropStream is not only a tool for you to find people who are motivated sellers of property, but you can actually use it to identify people who have purchased houses with a cash transaction. And as a result of being a cash transaction, it's like 99% likely that this is an investor who is looking for these types of deals. And then you add that type of person into your email marketing list.
Yeah. So pretty much I'll just pull that list. I'll skip trace it, either well, most of the time it's just email, and then pretty much just plug in the deal on that email list. I use GMass to send the deals out, and yeah. But like as of late, I think, well, me and Willie did a deal. Yeah, he was, I was in touch with him. I believe, what was that deal on Mendocino? What was that? You reached out to me, and you were just like, hey, can you try to get this?
Yeah, so I think so Bruce and I have been knowing each other since we started Stockton RA Network about 2 years ago, and as many of you know, I'm born and raised in Stockton, currently live here, and I typically drive around, and so I'll typically see properties that intrigue me, or I'll see a moving van in front of a house, or I'll see that there's a for rent sign. And typically I don't have the time or the patience to follow up on a deal, so I'll typically send it out to people who I know have more time to focus on finding these types of deals. So um, yeah, with that situation, I kind of just sent the address to Bruce to do some additional digging.
Yeah, so uh, Willie kind of just shot that deal out to me, and pretty much just kept on following up with the seller. He had a lot of stuff going on, uh, and he was an interesting dude. So
Yeah.
glad we got that one.
Cool.
But yeah,
We do have a few minutes here until we hit 5 p.m. So do want to put the finishing touches on this one. So Bruce, if you have any closing insights, would love to give you the floor for that. And before Bruce, we give you the floor to do some closing insights. I do see in the chat that people want to discuss more. I'm happy to send everybody a link to our Slack group. Our Slack is basically how we have people communicate with one another, so that you can talk to each other that way. And then also, if you want to chat more directly, feel free to send me an email, and I can pass your contact information around. But Bruce, if you want to add some closing statements, and then at the end of Bruce's closing statements, I do want to let people know, if you want to hang around on the Zoom after I end the recording, I'm happy to stick around, talk more real estate. If you want to hang out and just talk shop, feel free to hang out after 5 p.m. and we could just talk general real estate. So Bruce, if you don't mind giving kind of like your closing thoughts, we'd love to hear from you.
closing thoughts. Whatever marketing channel you guys choose, just stay consistent. There's probably going to be times where you feel like you're getting kicked in the teeth. Just keep pushing on. My first deal took me about 6 months, but I mean, it was a very nice deal. So going back to I forget who asked the question, but whenever you guys get access to PropStream, or if you do, it's under ownership info. Just click on that, and on the very bottom it'll say intra-family transfer. You want to click on include, and that is going to pull up all the transactions that were or it's going to pull up all the properties that were inherited, and that's it.
Cool. Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate the presentation. We are at 4:59. I do want to end by saying we are going to try to do one online meetup a month, and then also 1 to 2 in-person meetups. I know a lot of you on this call I've actually met in person at Panera, so feel free to stay tuned to our emails and for the save the dates for those. Our next in-person meetup is going to be not this weekend, but next weekend, so August 13th. So we'll be at Panera hanging out at about 9 or 10 in the morning. So feel free to jump in on that one. Pay attention to our emails that we're going to send out. And like I mentioned, if you want to talk more real estate and have some time, I'm happy to stay on the call. We could chat after I end the recording. But overall, thank you again, Bruce. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I'm going to end the recording. And if you want to hang out, hang out. Cool. Thanks, everyone.